T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engine ignition. And liftoff of SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket, boosting 40 more satellites into orbit for OneWeb's global internet network. Falcon 9 has cleared the launch towers at pad 40. T plus 22 seconds, everything looking good so far. T plus 1 minute. Falcon 9 now supersonic. Falcon 9 is now past max Q, the period of maximum aerodynamic pressure. Everything looking good as the flight approaches the T plus 90 second mark. The 229-foot tall Falcon 9 being powered by 9 Merlin engines, producing 1.7 million pounds of thrust heading offshore to the southeast from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. 1 minute 50 seconds, about 20 seconds now remaining until the expected time of main engine cutoff. That'll be followed by stage separation and ignition of the second stage of the Falcon 9 to continue the climb into orbit. The first stage will flip around and reverse course to head back to Cape Canaveral. There's main engine cutoff. Looks like we have stage separation, and we see visual indication of ignition of the second stage and now ignition of the first stage booster for the boost back burn. 3 engines firing on the first stage now. With now the Falcon 9 now out of visual range at Cape Canaveral as the second stage continues into orbit. We're now switching over to SpaceX and their live feed of the Falcon 9 launch, showing an onboard camera view now from the second stage engine as it's glowing red hot, powering into orbit with these 40 OneWeb satellites on board. We also saw confirmation just a moment ago of payload fairing jettison. So the nose cone of the Falcon 9 has been released to fall into the Atlantic Ocean. That'll be recovered by a downrange ship in SpaceX's fleet for refurbishment and reuse. And here's the delayed feed from the onboard camera from SpaceX. On the left is the entry burn underway. We already have seen that burn now completed, and now we're seeing it completed in this view from SpaceX. About 1 minute and 10 seconds until landing of the first stage back at the Cape. Second stage continues into orbit, passing 14,500 kilometers per hour, nearing orbital velocity with stage 2. The first stage now passing under 3,000 kilometers per hour. 7 minutes into the flight, less than a minute remaining until first stage landing. And now we're seeing the first stage booster landing burn underway, single engine firing to slow this rocket down for its return to landing zone 1. That variable thrust engine firing the center engine of the first stage in preparation for landing. It's now gone below the tree line. We're going to switch over to SpaceX, showing the onboard view of the Falcon 9 booster making its way to landing zone 1. Falcon 9 has landed. And shutdown of the Merlin vacuum engine now confirmed on the second stage of the Falcon 9 rocket. We also heard the call of nominal orbit insertion. That's the key call that we want to hear from SpaceX to confirm that the rocket has achieved its expected orbit following this orbit insertion burn, the first burn by the second stage of the Falcon 9 rocket. So the Falcon 9 is now in an elliptical or oval-shaped or elongated orbit around the planet Earth. It'll be coasting now until T plus 55 minutes, about 45 minutes from now, when that engine on the second stage will relight for a brief maneuver lasting just 3 seconds to circularize its orbit, and that will set the stage for the separation of the 40 OneWeb satellites that are on board this mission. This map from SpaceX shows the location of the second stage passing over the Caribbean Sea, heading out over Panama shortly, then out over the far eastern Pacific Ocean, over the western part of South America, over Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru, and then heading out over the Pacific Ocean again, eventually flying over Antarctica. Then it will make a northbound swing over the Indian Ocean, and that's where the engine will reignite at T plus 55 minutes to set the stage for the separation of the 40 OneWeb Internet satellites.